All right, we're glad you are staying with us on the show this morning. Well, though the Buhari administration, shortly after it came into power, claimed to have exited the petrol subsidy era, latest data from the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, shows that the federal government spent 190 billion naira in subsidizing fuel imports between January 2017 and January 2018.
Now, according to the NNPC, the country's fuel consumption has increased from 28 million litres in 2017 to 60 million litres in the first quarter of 2018. Mekanti Baru, the managing director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, says the high cost of petrol subsidy was because fuel importers sell the product at the approved pump price of 145 naira per litre, an amount much lower than what they spend on importing the product. All right, we have joining us now energy editor of the New Telegraph, Adiola Yusuf, with us in the studio. Good morning, Adiola. Nice to see you.
Morning.
Good morning. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. Now, it's still very confusing to Nigerians when they talk about subsidy. In fact, there is this negative perception about subsidy generally in the mind of any Nigerian. And now that there's always the controversy, are we paying subsidy? Are we not paying subsidy? Where is it going to? And who is benefiting and all of that? Right now, the issues of subsidy, Nigerians don't want to hear. But it seems the government is still not coming out clean when it comes to the issues of subsidy.
Okay, thank you. I think it's very, very necessary that I do a bit of backgrounding.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. What they call fuel subsidy started 25 years ago during the administration of IBB, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. And the reason for that was that for a long period of time before that, the 4 refineries we have in the country were left unmaintained. And at that point, they were not producing up to the installed capacity. So there was a shortage. They couldn't produce at the level of consumption for Nigerians. So there is a need at that time for them to do what they call price balancing. So that was when he introduced that subsidy. And he introduced it with declaration to Nigeria that it's just going to be for 6 months. 6 months. Oh. After 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, now it's 25 years. So it's important that we try to do this backgrounding. And it has continued. I think it started with a very good intention, but you should understand the way the leadership is. So some people saw business in it and they keyed into it. And before you know it, the amount being budgeted for subsidy kept skyrocketing to the length that in 1 year, about 1.4 trillion at a point was paid as subsidy. So what now happened was that when this government was coming into power, part of their campaign issues, was that they are going to remove subsidy. They said they are going to remove subsidy. Yes. And up till now, they have not said that they have removed subsidy. They have not said they have not removed subsidy. What they did was that, before that time, there was, when every day they allocate 445,000 barrels of crude for those refineries. Naturally, they felt that, okay, if those refineries are refining at their installed capacity, there shouldn't be any need for Nigeria to even import fuel at all. So, but unfortunately, those installations are not doing up to, up to 20% at some point, less than 10% at some point. So what government now was now doing before this administration was that what they called crude swap. The 445,000 barrels of crude that had been allocated daily to refineries, they will now invite refiners or middlemen.
Yes.
Those ones will now, come and take that 445,000 barrels and replace it with refined products. Over the years, this thing, that application, was giving jobs to, people abroad.
So in the course of this, let's get it clear, because you're really educating us here.
Yep.
No cash involved in this oil swap deal.
Okay, I'll get there now.
Okay.
So that was in place. So at some point, aside from that 445,000 barrels of crude, we were told that, you know, that could not be sufficient for Nigeria. You've heard that from 28 million liters, now 60 million.
Yeah.
So there will be need for additional, you know, that is when the thing became messy. And it became messier. And before you know it,
where we are now.
So what the government now did, immediately, this new government did, immediately they came to power, was what they call direct sale, direct purchase. And what this is all about is that instead of the middlemen that will just come and interface and say, okay, bring the 445,000, we'll go and negotiate with refiners
and
abroad
give you refined
give you refined product. What they did was to now sit on the table with the refiners, the real refiners. You know, they cut the middlemen and they were still transacting with them. So the truth of the matter is that until we can refine, you know, sufficiently in country, there will still be need for them to add, you know, extra liters in millions of, and that is when this thing usually comes.
So in other words, this DSDP, direct sale, direct purchase that you talk about, has not solved the problem.
It cannot solve the problem.
Okay, and then we've been told categorically by this government that subsidy is no longer in place. That as a matter of fact, what we now have is under recovery.
Okay.
Which was a replacement.
Okay.
Make us understand this under recovery.
Okay.
Because it's looking like a
there is under recovery, there's over recovery,
Yeah.
whichever one. Just
you will trust us, we Nigerians. We understand this language than even the owners of the language.
Or that's just semantics to subsidy.
Yes, yes. So what happened actually is that I've told you earlier, because the crude is a product that has international price. The amount is sold in Russia is the amount to be sold in Nigeria. And what we are talking about now is the refined product of that crude. Anytime there is a surge in the price of crude, definitely it will affect the price of the refined product, naturally. But where we are coming from now is that by the time they negotiate with these guys, with the refiners abroad, their negotiation, because oil and gas negotiation is usually done ahead, their negotiation will be based on a price. By the time they are delivering, the price would have, like a few days ago, the price got to $80 per barrel. Yes. You understand? The highest in some months. At that rate, there will naturally be under recovery. So what they will now do to make sure that that hole is filled is what they now call under recovery. Okay. But truth of the matter is that in layman language, you are just still paying additional value on this product.
So it's still subsidy.
They won't want you to call it subsidy. But truth of the matter is that this product is still being subsidized technically. And the solution to it is simple. Until, you know, it's disheartening at times if you think about this thing. Every day Nigerian produce, we're told, produces 2.3 million average barrels of crude every day. Per day. Every day. And the NNPC, through NPDC, Nigerian Petroleum Development Company, you know, has share in this 2.3 that is close to, close to 1 million barrels. You understand? So naturally, if you have refineries in country, there is no need for us to even think about that the price of crude is at this price. Why would the country that is, an oil-producing country? No, not even oil-producing in this, the biggest exporter of crude in Africa. You understand me? Why would we be even thinking about subsidy of
all right. You're talking about local refineries now. Let's come to the issue of the modular refinery, the licenses that we're giving out, and all of that. So far, what have you heard from any of the licenses that have been giving out for modular refineries?
It's unfortunate. It's very, very unfortunate. This modular refinery you're talking about is like an intervention too. Because what we are being told is that because most of these 4 refineries, all these 4 refineries we have on ground, you know, for you to do the turnaround maintenance is so expensive. And you will need larger chunk of fuel, I mean, of petroleum product, you know, to be refined in this process. So why don't we, people came forward and said, okay, why don't we have a refinery that won't, you know, be refining more than 20,000 barrels?
Yes.
And that time government, you know, accepted that idea and issued licenses to people. But it's unfortunate that up till now, just a very few of them are at the stage, you know, of know, showing commitment that they will do this. Okay, they have reasons, because I've interacted with a lot of them. What most of them are saying is, you know, number one, the instability in policy in the country, policy somersaults. You will agree with me that at the tail end of former President Olusegun Obasanjo's government, he sold these refineries to private, you know, enterprises. He sold them that they would do this. Okay, they have reasons, because I've interacted with a lot of them. What most of them are saying is, you know, number one, the instability in policy in the country, policy somersaults. You will agree with me that at the tail end of former President Olusegun Obasanjo's government, he sold these refineries to private, you know, enterprises. He sold them because immediately Yar'Adua came, he revoked the license. So you will understand the message that this would have sent to a lot of people. The other time I was at the Dangote refinery, and Alhaji Aliko Dangote,
the almighty Dangote refinery.
Alhaji Aliko Dangote, when he was, you know, giving reasons that made him to, you know, set up that refinery, was the fact that, you know, he was the winner. His company, Blue Star, was the winner of the Port Harcourt refinery. And all of a sudden, they revoked that license. When people sold the idea to former President Yar'Adua that, oh, please, this is political. You know the way we Nigerians think. This is political. We should, if you can invite technical people from abroad, they will do it. And you know it. Because Yar'Adua was a politician, he had to revoke that license. Up till this sample moment we are talking about, we are still at the, you know, and that was what the man said motivated him, that, okay, they have revoked this license. Can't I even start a refinery from the scratch? Now, very funny and very, you know, the funniest part of it was that when Minister of State for Petroleum Resources was saying that he will resign in 2003, and we asked him that, what was the magic? He said, Dangote refinery. So that has been the
So he's still relying on the Dangote refinery, which we hear will not be ready until late 2020 or so, or thereabout. Kachiku adopted, the Minister of State for Petroleum, adopted the price modulation policy to ensure that the price of petrol locally reflects the price of crude oil in the global market as close as possible. So the point is, how realistic really has this price modulation been so far? Okay. Let me quickly clarify something there. Please. The price modulation, when it came up with that price modulation, it was when they increased the price of premium motor spirit petrol to 145. To 145. And you know, because the government was still enjoying fantastic goodwill that time, he had to say something to them, you know, for them to understand the reason behind it. So he came up with price modulation. Before price modulation, what we had was that the Petroleum Product Pricing Regulatory Agency, that is PPPRA, usually fix the price. So now, what they will now do is that they will say, okay, the price should, the price should go between so-so price and so-so price. You will recollect that at the initial stage, what they told us was that it is going to be between 143 and 145. Today is 145. So it has shown, without even mincing word, without even, you know, trying to exaggerate, that price modulation, even though it has worked in the sense that he was able to assuage, you know, the feelings that time, it's not it. In as much as we are still having what we call under recovery and all this recovery and recovery. So it's not working. What will work is if Nigerian is sufficient, you know, in local refining. Until that is done, that is the only solution. That is the
How about the complaints that dealers are taking the refined
outside of the country.
product outside
In
of
other
the
words,
country.
Nigeria is actually subsidizing what Ghana, Benin Republic, and other countries are consuming.
Okay, we reported that, and I did an analysis on that. It's an indictment on this government. You can't tell me that people are taking product out of Nigeria when the government is the one controlling the customs. When the government is supposed to be the one to man, you know, the borders. Fine, that could manning the border could be so cumbersome, but you can't come and tell me that okay, you have not achieved, or you have not performed because an agency of government is not doing what it's supposed to do. As far as I'm concerned, that is just an excuse.
And what Mekanti Baru is recommending is that petrol stations around the borders, 10 to 15 kilometers close to the borders, should be closed.
And what happens?
How would that solve the problem?
And what happens to Nigerians living in that area?
Okay. Good question. I guess we'll have to
leave
it there.
Adiola Yusuf, thank you very much. Energy editor of the Telegraph. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so very much for having me.
All right, we'll go on a